I know the expression suggests otherwise, but maybe we should throw the butker out with the bathwater. Hello, ladies, men, and non binary friends. Welcome back. This was all over TikTok, and I was genuinely shocked that I didn't see anyone on YouTube talking about it. In fact, the only YouTube video that I saw talking about it was the lovely Rachel Oates. But even that video was only posted a day ago. So I'm going to talk about it because this was the stupidest, most unhinged, inappropriate, out of left field speech I've ever fucking heard. Now, this entire speech was a cornucopia of bad takes. He took a stab at abortion, queer rights, but I want to focus on one particular section that left me truly baffled. The speaker was Harrison Butker, a sport boy that I have been forced to become aware of. He's the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is apparently a football team. Moving on.
For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you.
So just sit with that for a moment. I want you to try and guess what this godly man is about to share with us. I bet you can't.
How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
I think it's quite poetic that the moment he says that, there's a screaming child that decides to share their thoughts. A spoiler, it doesn't get better.
I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
I want to try to be empathetic and be like, okay, where are these emotions coming from? And truly, I think it's coming from such a fucking delusional place that I really cannot find any sympathy here. Like, the love one has for one's wife. Like, he clearly loves her very much. I mean, at the very least, appreciates the free labor that she's able to provide. And I don't mean this in a shitty way, because again, I don't know their relationship. I don't know if he actually loves his wife. But him getting choked up speaking about her, he clearly has some level of affection for her. But this idea that, like, just the ladies in the audience, you're the ones who I'm going to address, and I'm also going to bring up my wife. He's speaking for his wife and saying she would say her life didn't start until she had kids, and that any thought that you have of promotions and future career goals or bettering yourself financially, frankly, will never measure up to what you can provide to the world as a mother. And I think that that's just stupid, right? He just makes it sound so nefarious, too, in his speech. Like, pursuing a job in accounting as a woman is unholy. Like, man, I'm just trying to fill out some expense reports. Leave me alone. I'm very thankful for my mother. My mother was a stay-at-home mom for many years until, frankly, our family couldn't afford it and she needed to go back to work. But also, like, that's hardly all she is. This idea that, like, that is the grandest form of accomplishment and pride that a woman can have is frankly not true. We're not in a position, economically speaking, I mean, I'm going to go off on a full rant here. We're not in a position, economically speaking, where that is necessarily feasible for anyone. Every average family right now, everybody works 2 jobs. Like, everybody that I talk to has, like, a full job and they've got, like, a side hustle. We are not in a state where we can actually afford stay-at-home moms. Having a child in this economy, if you can't provide for them, is frankly fucking irresponsible. But forgoing all of that, there's nothing wrong with choosing to be a stay-at-home mother if you can afford it, but also there shouldn't be anything wrong with women pursuing careers either. And the way that he's framing this, it kind of seems like it would be selfish of women to do this. It would be against our natural calling for women to do this. The whole speech just gives ick. You know, it just gives ick. I think that there might be people who are like, oh, you're reading too far into it. He's just talking about the importance of family. No. No. And if you can't understand the nuance of this conversation, frankly, you are willfully ignorant and willfully blind, and I have nothing else to actually say to you. Um, yeah. And then, he goes on a little bit more. He doesn't really address men being fathers in the same way that he addresses women being mothers, which also gives me pause. So yeah, frankly, shit all around. And some of you might be thinking, well, it's freedom of speech. He was invited there. He should be able to say whatever he wants. And my first point would be, well, I'm exercising my right to free speech, and I have every right to criticize him. But more importantly, he did the speech badly. Why? Because he broke the most important rule of public speaking. Know your audience. This is basic stuff. Public speaking 101. Any class where they teach you to stand in front of people and say shit effectively, they tell you, know your audience. If there's someone giving a speech about how they like big-bootied women, that might go well at something like a comedy club. But if that same person does the same routine at an elementary school, for example, it's probably not going to be well received, and there's going to be some phone calls from angry parents. Why? Because it's not appropriate for that audience. And likewise, if you're going to tell a room full of college-educated women who have just spent years pursuing a degree, and for many of these students, regardless of gender, this is their greatest achievement in life thus far. They haven't even walked across the stage yet, and you're telling these women, actually, all you've worked to pursue is probably less important than you realize. That is incredibly disrespectful and inappropriate. How did you expect this to go over, my guy? I think celebrity culture is just so dead right now that people were fucking ruthless over this, as they should be. But nevertheless, it was a delight to watch this man's words burn before him.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you for having me here to speak. Literally, no one else listens to me. First, I'd like to say to my mommy, you proud of me now? What a man you've raised.
Women aren't upset that you think being a home giver or a fucking, what are you calling it, a homemaker is a beautiful thing. Women are upset that you get up there and assume that is what we want. That is what we all want. They are saying that they cannot live without a woman. They cannot succeed without a woman. But then when a woman wants to go off and do big, great things for their career, you have to stay home. The hypocrisy is fucking mind-numbing.
If the only thing that they're good for is being homemakers and being a wife and a mother, why didn't you address the men? The only thing that you're good for is providing for the women and children. The only thing that you're good for is being a father and a husband. That's when your life begins, right?
Let's tell the public that he's looking to his life after football and that he wants to get into movies. So all he's doing is just rehearsing for a role where he's going to play a cult leader.
No, we also can't do that. We're already doing that with Travis and Taylor.
Damn it, you're right. All right, let's just get the general manager on the phone. We'll see if we can trade him to the Browns.
Maybe it's because not everybody gets paid millions of dollars to sit on the sidelines of a very physical sport while playing the least physical position, where you only play about 10 minutes a season. But unfortunately, I would expect nothing less from an entitled child that comes from an affluent and wealthy family who's never really had to deal with any real struggles in their life.
What am I watching? Oh, here we go. It's disgusting.
About your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. You began living her vocation as a wife, as a mother.
Oh, that's so sad.
What a loser. The 1950s called and they want Harrison Butker back.
Unsurprisingly, right-wing commentators have clung to this like mosquitoes to my sweet, yummy flesh. I always call him Michael Walsh. I don't remember his actual name because all of these guys look exactly the fucking same and I can't tell them apart. But he made a video on it, I'm sure, to farm rage views or to get the few people that actually agreed with that speech to commiserate with him. But you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be, but plenty of Christians and Catholics actually came out in opposition of his speech as well. It wasn't just queer lefties like me. It was a huge collection of Christians, and particularly Catholics, who were like, you missed the mark, my guy.
The nuns have responded. The Sisters of the Mount St. Scholastica
America do not believe that Harrison Butker's comments in his 2024 Benedictine College commencement address represent the Catholic Benedictine liberal arts college that our founders envisioned and in which we have been so invested. Instead of promoting unity in our church, our nation, and the world, his comments seem to have fostered division. One of the concerns was that the assertion that being a homemaker is the highest calling for a woman. We sisters have dedicated our lives to God and God's people, including the many women whom we have taught and influenced during the past 160 years. These women have made a tremendous difference in the world in their roles as wives and mothers and through their God-given gifts in the leadership, scholarship, and their careers. Our community has taught young women and men not just how to be homemakers in a limited sense, but rather how to make a gospel-centered, compassionate home within themselves where they can welcome others as Christ, empowering them to be the best versions of themselves.
And don't give me the, oh, it was a Catholic graduation. I wore this so that you know I'm one of you. And you're incorrect. Church that I grew up in, the women would have cackled. Men like this lash out at women, either physically or emotionally, because they are so afraid of our success.
Because here's the thing. Regardless of your views on marriage, women, etc., this is still a terrible speech. Because the purpose of that day, of graduation, is to commemorate all the fucking hard work that was put into that. The late nights, the early mornings, the hours and hours of reading and writing and test taking and memorizing. It's a lot, and for anyone who has made it that far, deserves to celebrate that. Point blank, period. It's an achievement that is difficult for many, and everyone involved deserves to be praised for that. And yet, that is not what happened here, at least for half of the student body. And the whole time I was watching this, I was thinking, no one gave this speech a once over. No one was like, maybe we can pump the brakes on the Handmaid's Tale stuff, Butker, huh? There's enough dystopia in the world right now as it is. These are the same kids who never got to have a high school graduation because the entire world was dealing with a fucking plague. So maybe, just stick with the generic script, take a cookie from the break room, and leave on your private jet before the peasants storm the fucking castle. Believe it or not, it gets worse. You'd think that a man touting these kinds of values would have been raised in an environment where that was the norm, that was the tradition. But apparently not.
This is Harrison Butker's mom, Elizabeth Butker. And I want you to just look at her credentials. She is a medical physicist on staff at Emory University. And it makes me wonder if he realized what a direct insult that was to his own parent. And it is evident that he has no respect for the work that she did and continues to do. And I'm not here saying that domestic work is not work. I truly believe that it is a ton of work, and it is unpaid work. And it also doesn't matter that that would be the partnership that he would choose, even though his mom worked outside of the home. But to have a mother that is as accomplished as she is, and then to stand up in front of a graduating class, of which she was one of those people in her time, and say that women have been deviously misled into believing that having a career or getting promoted at work is more important than your true vocation of being in the home.
And again, I don't know why this hasn't been discussed more on YouTube. With all the discourse around Haley Bailey, that shit spread like wildfire, and rightly so. It was completely out of touch. But this speech was blatantly misogynistic and tone-deaf, so where's the noise for this fucking idiot? And I wonder if it's because he's a football player, albeit a kicker. And for many people, women included, being a football player or professional sportman of any kind is peak masculinity. And people don't want to threaten that because of their internalized misogyny. I don't know if that's the case. I'm gonna talk about this regardless, because this whole situation is just fucking wild to me. Happy graduation to everyone who made it through, and extra special love to anyone who had to sit through that fucking train wreck. Blessings to any recent graduates. I hope you're able to fall asleep for a week to recover mentally and physically. I remember when I graduated, that's what I did because I was so fucking exhausted. But anyways, fuck this loser. He's a fucking clown. I hope he gets laughed off the internet. This was so disrespectful and awful. Remember to subscribe. If you want to donate to Rowan's campaign, I still have it listed in the description. We're so close to her goal. Thank you so much to everyone who's donated. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye.